Mosquitoes. Everybody wants to kill mosquitoes. But in Singapore, they create mosquitoes and spread them in the millions to fly free in the country. The first thing on your mind is, why are they doing this? And did they go crazy? Well, they did not. For the first time ever, I want to show you the full, exciting journey of how Singapore fights mosquitoes. For those that don't know, mosquitoes aren't just annoying, they are also deadly. Many female mosquitoes have dengue virus, and just like malaria, you can get dengue from a mosquito bite, and in severe cases, you could die. Between 50 and 500 million people get dengue every year, and 10 to 20,000 people die from mosquito bites. So if you want to eliminate dengue, you must kill all the dengue mosquitoes everywhere. But they are hard to find and therefore hard to kill. So how do you stop mosquitoes? Well, a team of researchers in Singapore came up with an idea.
What if we stop mosquitoes from having babies?
And that's exactly what they did. They created a new type of mosquito that is so strong that it can go out there and find all the bad mosquitoes and stop them from having babies. So apparently this is like a mosquito nursing room, and there's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of mosquitoes right here waiting to be released to the outside world. This is as crazy as it sounds. This new mosquito doesn't bite or hurt you at all. I'm going to check if these mosquitoes truly do not bite or hurt if you put your hand inside of them. If this good mosquito falls in love with a bad mosquito, the bad mosquito will no longer be able to have kids. No new babies, no new mosquitoes. Genius! So, Singapore created millions of these good mosquitoes and put them in a mosquito gun and blasted them. To neighborhoods, to rooftops, to gardens, everywhere. The good mosquitoes mated with the bad ones and they could no longer reproduce.
In no time, all mosquitoes, good and bad, will die naturally without having any kids.
Whoever said love kills was not wrong. Because this is literally how Singapore is fighting the dengue virus. Dengue mosquitoes dropped significantly by more than 90% and saved many residents from the virus threat. This ingenious method is such a success that they are opening a mosquito factory in Singapore just to fight dengue. This factory is so advanced it can create tens of thousands of good mosquitoes every single day. Everybody needs to see this because the world's biggest problems can be fixed. You just need a little bit of creativity and a mosquito gun.
10 grand for a baby.
Is there a price for that?
Yes.
Jeez, $100, $200?
£2,500. Ambulance call out. How much do you think that costs?
Zero payment.
Zero payment?
Yeah, zero payment.
No. It costs $2,500.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
you look. An inhaler.
$100.
Yeah, you're pretty close. It's a bit more.
120
250 to 350.
for an inhaler.
Yes.
Man, so if you're poor, you're dead.
I know that it's like public health care in the UK. In the US, fortunately, I'm able to get health care through my parents, their jobs, but like I carry an EpiPen, and I know that like the cost of that has just been rising. So like there's like very few companies that even compete, so it's sort of like a monopoly for the EpiPen. Even though like we have insurance, it cost my parents about a couple hundred, even with insurance.
So 2 EpiPens. Okay. How much do you reckon they are?
$80.
600.
$40.
I'm afraid not.
More?
More?
$100.
More.
150.
More.
250.
More.
Shut the fridge.
More.
£300.
Double it.
$600. What? Why?
That's a very good question.
$600.
Yeah.
For me, it's more like just hives and shortness of breath.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like an immediate death situation, but like, so I've been fortunate I've not had to use it, but it's something like keep on me. Like I have my backpack right now, I have it on me.
Cost of childbirth.
Jesus. 50 grand, something ridiculous now.
Yes, yeah, I've blown the figures up in your head now, haven't I? Because they're larger. It's the highest, generally speaking, is about 30 grand.
Okay.
Is that reasonable? You're happy
Not
with that?
reasonable at all. It's just like now we're on like we're on a benchmark.
100, 200.
Dollars.
Yeah.
The average is about 10 grand. It can go up to 30,000.
10 grand for a baby.
Yeah, well, I guess. How much is your child worth?
Yeah. What is that like the same everywhere?
The average is about $10,000. Yeah.
That's mad. Oh no, thanks.
Okay, no thanks. In which case, the coil, IUD, contraception.
Yeah.
How much do you think that costs?
For one person to implant $1,000.
Yeah, a little bit higher.
Really?
Yeah, $1,300.
Oh. Mental.
I wonder if you could tell me how expensive you think calling an ambulance out to your location is in America.
I guess it depends on like where you live. It really does. Is there a price for that?
Yes,
Jeez. $100? $200?
$2.5 grand.
For what? Why? Why?
Give birth by C-section,
Yeah.
and you would like to hold your baby after you've given birth to it.
Actually, yeah, that's what you do. Yeah. You have to pay to do that.
Yes.
To hold my own child that I've been carrying inside of my womb.
Say something else.
Sorry, I was.
But yes.
Jeez.
It's not actually that expensive.
Mate, charging me, I'm gonna punch you.
Yeah.
Not you, but the doctor. Like $100.
$40
$40.
for skin-on-skin contact. What do you think of the NHS?
Literally the gift that keeps on giving. Literally, people are so dumb for taking advantage of it, and I don't want it to change.
Finally, does it make you grateful for the NHS?
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't know how much free healthcare we got like just off the bat, but like knowing you have to pay like 30 grand for a child, it's outrageous. It really is ridiculous. So, thank you NHS for your hard work.
I'm genuinely speechless.
Presumably you had an idea that healthcare was expensive in the US.
I didn't realise how expensive. Yeah, I'm just like, what? Like, if you don't have money, you're fudged. Yeah.
What do you think of the people who are profiting off the sale of these medicines?
You're bastards. Sorry, beep. I think, yeah, I think they should be stopped. Fuck Trump.
I'm professor of research design and analysis at the University of Copenhagen. 2 years ago, I found out that our prescription drugs are the third leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer. Our drugs kill around 200,000 people in America every year, and half of these people die while they do what their doctors told them. So they die because of the side effects. The other half die because of errors. And it's often the doctors that make the errors, because any drug may come with 20, 30 or 40 warnings, contraindications, precautions and so on. No doctor in the world knows about all this. So they give patients drugs that they should not have given them, that interact dangerously with other drugs or food items or so on. And then the patients die. That's the other half. So the other thing I found out 2 years ago was that much of what the drug industry does fulfills the criteria for organized crime in US law. And they behave in many ways like the mafia does. They corrupt everyone they can corrupt. They have bought every type of person, even including ministers of health in some countries. So there is a huge amount of corruption. In my country, for example, Denmark, we are regarded as having very little corruption. But yet we have thousands of doctors on industry payroll, although we are just 20,000 doctors. So this is an effective kind of corruption. The drug industry buys the professors first, then chiefs of department, then other chief physicians and so on. They don't buy junior doctors. So when several thousands are on industry payroll, it's really, really bad. And that's why I wrote my book, Deadly Medicines and Organized Crime, How Big Pharma Has Corrupted Healthcare. I hope to convince patients not to take so many drugs because so many die from the drugs they take. In my country, people take so many drugs that every single citizen can be in treatment with 1.5 drugs from they are born till they die. This is incredible. And drugs are not that helpful. And they kill very many of us. We know that. That's why drugs are the third major killer after heart disease and cancer. So what we need in the coming years is to take far fewer drugs than what we do currently. If we did that and we were careful, then we could live longer and live better lives. Because drugs have many side effects, and patients often don't realize that when they become worse, that it could be a side effect of the drug, which they continue taking because that's what their doctors tell them. So when I was a specialist in internal medicine, what I very often did was that I stopped a lot of drugs, particularly in elderly people, and it's quite revealing to see a bedridden elderly person come into your ward, and when you stop the drugs, I mean, that person becomes many years younger. And many of these drugs affect the brain, and old people tolerate that very, very badly. They fall, and when they break a hip, 1/4 of them die. And for example, antidepressant drugs are used in more than 10% of our elderly. And they seem to kill 3% of them every year. I mean, if 100 old people take an antidepressant for 1 year, 3% of them will die because they fall and break their hip. This is a huge death rate. So a lot of other drugs than antidepressants also make people fall and kill them. And they may affect your cognition, your memory, and all these things. And then they interact in ways that we know almost nothing about. Very many elderly, they take more than 5 drugs a day. And we actually don't know how these drugs interact with each other. What we do know is that all drugs have many effects in the body, and some of them interact also in their metabolism, so that you can get a too high concentration of a drug if you take other drugs simultaneously. So we make a lot of harms that we don't even recognize. I have a pretty colorful collection of things people have called me during all these years. And sometimes journalists have asked me, why do you always look up controversy? And my reply is, I don't. Controversy looks me up. Because it's not popular to tell the truth in healthcare. You will get a lot of enemies, because a lot of people make money on false premises, doctors and industry alike. And our drug regulators and our politicians, they are on board on this wagon. So very few people are independent of money in healthcare.